Well, is the Batman 2 gonna be canceled? I tell you, this movie, the debacle around this movie has just gotten out of hand. And look, I know that there's issues going on behind the scenes with Matt Reeves, and I feel for him, I feel for his family, I feel for everything going on there. But when it comes to the way that the fans have been looking at everything, the way the fans have been just dissecting every bit of information that's coming out about this film, I feel like they're taking it and running with anything that they can and twisting it into a negative, twisting it into some sort of narrative that they can make it sound like it's going the way that they specifically want it to go to fit an agenda, whether it's to paint DC Studios as the enemy or to paint that Matt Reeves is the enemy or whatever. Fact of the matter is, there are some issues going on. Whether this film gets made or not, it's neither here nor there at this point. The first film did well. It made over $700 million, just short of $800 million in the theater, in the box office. Now, that does warrant a sequel. The Penguin did gangbusters for HBO and Max. Did gangbusters. People loved that show. But the way things fall sometimes is sequels and continuations just don't happen. It's the way the world works sometimes. Things just don't fall into place as they should. There's well intent to make things happen, but sometimes things just don't. Does that mean, am I sitting here saying that the Batman 2 is scrapped? Look, I was told months and months and months ago that it was most likely scrapped. But I think because of the fan outcry, because of what was going on, and because I think that they were like, you know what, let's see how the Penguin does. I truly believe that they wanted to push forward and try and make things work. I still think they're trying to make things work. I do. But circumstances in real life, which happens all the time, might be pushing this film to not being made. Now, John Campia apparently alluded to in one of his latest episodes that something might be going on with the Batman 2. Now, he was asked if he thinks it's more likely that Robert Pattinson's Batman would be merged with the DCU or if the Batman 2 would be canceled. Now, we have heard multiple times from James Gunn, Peter Safran, Matt Reeves, that the Batman universe, Matt Reeves' universe, is completely separate from what James Gunn is making in the DCU. Now, hear me out. That could be Matt Reeves' wishes. That could be what he wants. But let's just sit back for a second. Let's say Matt Reeves, because of the personal issues that are going on, let's say he has to leave the project. Let's say he has to wipe his hands clean of everything, and he's no longer part of the project. He's not directing. Maybe he gives over the script that he was writing. Maybe they just decide, you know what, let's just scrap that and start fresh and new. Maybe they then are able to or want to fold Pattinson into the DCU. Is that what's going to happen? I don't think so. But let's take a listen here to what John Campia says.
Man, I'm struggling with what I can say and what I can't.
Well, what did James Gunn tell you?
See, I got told something this week that they even said I could say it.
So the one thing I want to point out, and I talk about this all the time, is when it comes to John Campia, he's not a scooper. He is a pop culture commentator, similar to me, just at a much higher level. Similar to someone like Real Anarchy, Boba Talks, Aaron Fisher, Real Shift, all those people, all these people that are on YouTube. He's one of us, just at a much higher successful level. That's who John Campia is. He is not a scooper. He has connections. He knows people. He talks to people. I'm sure he gets fed information all the time, but he doesn't play that game. He doesn't play that scoop game. He will occasionally give some information from sources that he's heard. This here is one of his instances where he's teasing that he knows information, but he's a little hesitant in giving it.
Well, haven't they cast the Batman already? Isn't it what's his face?
Who?
The guy who's in he's in 1923.
No, there was just some rumors there were rumors going around. I don't think that's.
Yeah, he said he would like to. It wasn't like a.
Okay. There was things he said he would. We did a thing on that.
He's a
He said he
Batman
would
fanboy.
love to do it. I don't think, unless I missed a huge announcement, but no, I think
Batman
he would like to
23.
So right there, I want to point something out here. The fact that John Campia in that moment is like, unless I missed a major announcement, then no, that hasn't happened. The way that he talks about this, because everybody's sitting here trying to figure out, what does John Campia mean here? Well, here, let's continue.
I just thought that they were showing pictures of him with corn sweat, and I was like,
they're
those
talking
guys
about
for Brave and the Bold movie or whatever.
Sklenar,
That'd be
by
cool.
the way.
They look good together.
Yeah. So I'm sure. So again, I was told I could say it, but I feel like
Do it. Say it. Say it, John.
Pass the note to me,
I
and
love
I'll
that.
say it. Then you got no heat on you.
Yeah.
you know.
You can't say you could say it and then not say it.
You know what? I'm going to tell you off camera. I'll tell you guys.
I'll
off
say it
camera.
later then.
No, but then you will not say it later.
You
I
tell me,
will-
I'll forget.
I will tell you off camera. But let's just say I think it is more likely that the Batman 2 gets canceled. So,
All right. So there you go. He says he thinks it's more than likely that the Batman 2 gets canceled. But what does that mean? So first off, him saying that it's more likely that the Batman 2 gets canceled leads me to believe that this whole idea that Pattinson's Batman is going to get merged, not going to happen. Because the way that he acted about Sklenar, how they brought up Sklenar and him being cast already, and he's like, I didn't hear that. Did I miss a major announcement? What's going on? That means what he heard has nothing to do with Pattinson being brought to the DCU, nothing to do with casting, nothing to do with anything like that when it comes to Batman in the DCU or the Batman Part 2. My guess is that he's heard some more information regarding what's going on with Matt Reeves. That's my guess, possibly, and how they want to fast track the DCU's Batman. That's just what I'm picking up with his tone here. Now, hear me out. Will them canceling the Batman 2 be a massive issue? I don't think it will be. I know that there's people out there. I saw some people say, well, that's it. I am done with superhero movies. That's all I wanted to see was the Batman 2, so I am completely done. I've heard some people say, I'm done with Warner Brothers then. This is ridiculous. I don't want what they're cooking now. I've seen a lot of people say that. Let's be honest. We are now, 3 years, 4 years since we got the last one? We were looking at another 2 years before we got this movie. By the time this movie would have come out, I think a lot of people would have been, moved on, not as excited, probably would have been happy with what James Gunn was doing, or would have just not cared at all and not gone to see it. I think it would have been a little too late, honestly. Now, that could be wrong. I mean, take a look at what happened with Avatar. You had Avatar 1, and then 12 years, 15 years, whatever it was later, you get Avatar 2, and it's another $1 billion film, $2 billion film, whatever it was. I could be wrong with that. Now, here's the big difference, though. They want a Batman in the DCU. They don't want to risk oversaturating Batman right now. And having a Batman universe here and getting a Batman in the DCU could do that. Had the Batman Part 2 come out this year or last year or way earlier, that wouldn't have happened because they would have been able to put the Batman Part 2 out and then they could have spaced it out. They could have spaced these movies out better. But the further the Batman Part 2 gets pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, the less likely they're going to make that movie, because they can't then keep pushing the DCU's Batman. Now, obviously, if they push the Batman Part 2 another year or two, then they can get the DCU's Batman. But if you put the DCU's Batman now in that 2026 spot, there's a 2027. I don't even know anymore. No, it's 2027, right? So if the DCU's Batman doesn't come out in 2026, I'd say that gets put in 2027. Do you really want to put the Batman 2 in 2028, or do you want to push that to 2029? You see how far out that is then. I mean, that is probably the thinking that's going on. And they have to play this right. Because if you oversaturate it, if you confuse the general audience, you and me, we're not going to get confused with it. The general audience could. I'm not saying they will, but I'm saying they could get confused. Like, I thought this person was Batman. Now this person's Batman. And don't come at me. A lot of you people are going to sit there and say, oh, people can't get confused. And I'm not saying the fans of the DCU and what's going on, and those who support DC Studios, but I know there are some of you out there who are going to sit there and say, oh, we need the Batman 2, and that people won't get confused. And a lot of you are the same ones who are sitting there saying people are going to be confused because Henry Cavill isn't Superman. So don't come at me and try and say that that's not a possibility, because it is a possibility. It is. All right? When you have two. Now, if it was just one, when you just switch to one, because in my opinion, when Henry Cavill's done, he's moved on. He hasn't been in that role for X amount of years, and now you have a new Superman. That's not confusing. But if you have two Batmen running around on the big screen, and you have movies coming out back to back and back to back years, that can be confusing. So that's why I think DC Studios has to look hard at what's going on and figure out, hey, if we really want the Batman to move forward, how does our Batman in the DCU work? Now, we have to decide, not us, but the studio has to decide, how do they play this out? If they decide to have this thing just canceled, how do they play this out to the fans? How do they explain it? Because they've been very hush-hush on what's going on with Matt Reeves. They haven't said anything. Reeves hasn't said anything. The family hasn't said anything. There is stuff going on there. And if they come out now and say, well, he has some personal issues, I think people will take it well. But I think a lot of people will sit there and say, well, why can't they just wait? And that's going to be difficult for some people to understand, that they just can't wait. They can't. I mean, you have to. There has to be a certain amount of time. You can't wait 8 years, 9 years, 10 years to put out another Batman movie. It's just not feasible. It's not going to work that way. It just doesn't. No, you can't. So you already have this, perception on James Gunn and DC Studios from a minority of fans, very loud minority of fans, who claim everything DC Studios and James Gunn does is terrible, and they're gonna pin this on them, so they can take this and run with it and act very noble, very strong, and say, you know what? Hey, we did everything we could to make sure that Reeves had everything that he needed to have to get this film made. And we look forward to working with him on Dynamic Duo, Clayface, anything else that he's involved in moving forward with the DCU, with DC Studios. But the Batman 2, it's getting shelved. And I think they need to come out and be honest with it about everything. Matt Reeves was dealing with some personal issues, not saying what it was, just saying that he was dealing with some personal issues and just didn't have time to dive deep and get down into it. And we didn't want to push him. We didn't want to pressure him when he's dealing with that. And because of that, we're shelving the project. We look forward to working with him on blah, 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 blah. And we hope that everything works out for him. But until then, the movie is shelved indefinitely. And I think that's the best way to move forward with it. If it ever comes back up, hey, then it comes back up. If not, it is what it is. Robert Pattinson's going to be fine. He's got plenty of work coming up. He's a fantastic actor. Matt Reeves, he's a fantastic filmmaker. He's going to continue getting work even after everything works out with his life. It's the best way to go. And I know there's a lot of you that want to see this movie get made, but honestly, this is probably the best direction for the DCU and DC Studios moving forward. It really is. Let me know your thoughts, though, in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. This is just me being completely honest, just explaining as it is. If you have any issues with it, I'm sorry. But put your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. With all that said, I'll catch you all later.